What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. This is part 4 of the low roughneck electric only 1860 build. This is a big boat build. Now, I'm very surprised because when we first started on it, I did not think it was going to be this cool. I really dig this boat. The colorway, the scheme, everything of it is just really an awesome rig. And if this thing had like 150 horsepower outboard on it, man, I would hop in this boat and pshoom, it would be mine. This is the finest electric only built build that I've ever done. And it is going to be so insane once I get the turf and the seat and put this thing out in the water. And I can't wait to show you guys that. But we made a lot of progress in this video. We got all the electronics hooked up, all the LED lights. We got 4 16-foot long LED strip rails. We got over 30 white LEDs inside the compartments. I got all the pumps, everything's hooked up. The electrical panel is hooked up. It looks dope. Oh yeah, we also got this thing wrapped, and let me tell you, this wrap is mind-blowing. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so we got lots of LED lights going into this thing. These strip lights turned out pretty sick. The interior ones fit right up into that rail inside of there, and they look pretty dope. I'm hoping to be able to take advantage of the fact that these are blue and white lights and hook them up to where you can flip-flop between the two colors. On a different note, I just got a call. They've got an opening, and they're ready to get this thing wrapped. So I'm going to put this on hold. I'm going to take all this stuff out of the boat. I'm going to haul this thing down the street. Luckily, it's only about 2 blocks away. It's not a long drive. I'm going to take this thing down there and get them set up. I'll pick it up in a couple of days and pick up right where I left off with everything else that's going into the rig. Let's get back to work. right, guys, so they did a killer job on this wrap. Check this thing out. It's got the Cryptek camo up in here. The logos are dope too. Game Changers, the name of the boat, obviously. And we've got a cool looking largemouth on the side, man. This thing is sick. Kind of cartoonish, yet it still looks really cool and sophisticated. Check out the back though, man. They killed this wrap back here. This thing is really cool. This is the first time that I've had a wrap company do the back of the boat. And man, it looks so good. They brought this thing all the way up here, this very top. You see, I thought they were gonna stop it down here. I didn't think they'd even get close to this jack plate, but they did the entire back of it. And it looks really dope. I'm very pleased with this. The customer saw it and he likes it, so it's definitely a win. Obviously, you guys could tell that he went with the same type of color scheme as King Neptune boat. I'm digging it, man. It's right up my alley. I got a little bit more to do with the electrical in here. I got to run some more wires. The main thing is just hooking everything up into the switch panel that's going in there. And I want to hook these lights up. These things are dope. I want to see what these look like. I'm going to get this stuff going, guys. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so we got a lot of electrical wires ran in the boat. One thing I wanted to show y'all is how I do this bilge pump and float switch combo. This is pretty important if you want to hook up a float switch instead of just a bilge pump to the switch. Now, this bilge pump comes with two wires. Obviously, you got your red and your black. There's the same type of deal with the float, except it has two reds. It's actually a brown. But one of these red wires is going to go to the switch and one goes directly to the battery. And then you hook this up normally like you would any other accessory going into the switch panel. But with that one hot wire going directly to the battery, that actually engages this pump if it fills up with water, and it will automatically kick on. That way, if you leave the boat in the water and you get rained on, or if you get swamped out, you don't have to worry about flipping on the bilge. But we're also gonna have this hooked up to a switch so you can manually turn it on in case this float dies out or it has an issue. So I made this custom bracket for it. You can see I went ahead and put all my holes in here for this bracket. And basically I'm gonna mount this onto here. I'm gonna drop it down into the bottom right here. And I'm gonna shoot these rivets into the side right here. That way this thing is mounted and it holds it in place. And we can run our hoses off of here and we're gonna fish all of our wires up and hide them up into the switch panel. I wanna show you guys the switch panel. This thing turned out really sick. I've got all the wires already ran back to the back of the boat for the bilge pump. And that's one of the only things I got to hook up into the switches. We got our 6-gang switch panel in here, and we got our fuse block. Now these fuses right here, these 6 are in line with these 6 switches, and we've got a aerator timer. This is basically just for the recirculate pump that's inside of the live well. And then these are the 2 coolest switches in the boat. These are for our interior and exterior rail lights. Now these lights are from custom LED and fiber optics. They're heavy duty. They're not the cheap Amazon lights. They're actually interchangeable from blue to white. Unfortunately, I don't have 3-way switches in here, so I'm just hooking them up as the blue right now. We might come back at a later date and switch out 2 of these switches with 3-way switches. That way you can flip-flop between the 2 colors. Anyways, though, this thing is sick. This is my electrical panel. I've got a main on-off switch here for it too. Kills all the power. And the reason we're doing that is because we're running the black box off of this fuse panel, and a lot of people say the black box actually drains battery power when it's not in use. So that will eliminate that from happening. But this is my custom fuse panel. This thing works out really good. I still got to clean up the wires underneath here, but you can see how it works. You pull this up, set it on the deck. You got access to all your wires. Now, when I get done with this, it'll be nice and neat, but you get the feel for how this thing works. I did hook up 2 nav lights up on the front of the boat also, and he's got a rear anchor light. All right, so I'm gonna get this bilge pump bracket installed and get the bilge pump hooked up and make sure that thing's working. The other thing I gotta do is the jack plate. Now we did stage up the jack plate. I bent this out of 3/16 aluminum and it turned out sick. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be exactly what we need. It offsets this about 6 inches and it brings it up a couple inches. It should be right in the sweet spot. This is not a normal outboard going on here. It's an electric outboard, so it's gonna be a little bit different. We might have to play around with it, but the only thing I gotta do for this is come back and add some more stiffeners in here and give this a thicker area for the actual clamp down of the motor to attach to, and throw some more bolts in there. Obviously, we're gonna take this off and get this thing painted before we permanently install it, but I did get the layout of it, and it looks like it's gonna be exactly what we need. Let's get back to work. All right, it's a wrap. This is our custom jack plate. Now I had holes in the back of the transom already, so I used those same hole pattern, incorporate them into this. I gotta put a couple more up a little bit higher. This thing is really hot. I just finished welding it. But I did add these 1.5 inch angles inside of here just to double up where the bolts go in. And it makes this thing a lot stronger in this corner bracket right here. Now, this one has a 1-inch tube up in the front, and that's where the motor is gonna mount. It gives him a little bit more thickness for the clamps of his electric outboard to clamp onto. Now that this thing is all finished up, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. We're gonna get a coat of paint on this thing. gonna let it cool off for a second. It's pretty hot. We'll get on to something else. Let's get back to work. All right, nice fit. Everything's tight. Got our 3M5200 in there to seal this bad boy up. Paint job turned out pretty good. That's exactly what we need. Gets us offset, bring this thing back about 6 inches, bringing it up a couple of inches, get it into some denser water. Hopefully it'll catch better and be a little bit faster. We'll put this motor on here in just a second. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got the motor hung on the jack plate. It looks like it's gonna be in the ideal spot of where I wanted it to sit. We're not really gonna know for sure until we put this thing out in the water, but it did bring it up about 2 inches, and obviously the offset's about 6 inches. This thing is crazy though. This motor actually came from Russia. I don't know anything about this motor, but it's pretty powerful. I do know that. But this motor is going to be powered by 3 lithium batteries. These are 200 amp hour batteries. We've got 3 of them that are going into this back area right here. I'm gonna have one in the center and one on either side of that. I do have to make a couple of custom pans for these ones on the side so it doesn't slope towards the center of the boat. I'm gonna build those in just a second because these batteries are huge. These things have got to have a good platform to sit on. They're not very heavy, but 200 amp hour batteries, these things are massive. They're like 20 inches by 9.5 inches wide. It's a lot of juice to power this outboard motor. I'm gonna get these in the boat in just a second. I got a couple other wires I wanna pull up inside of these compartments for his grass. I gotta get the power wires and the transducer off the back of the boat. Then I'm gonna put these batteries in here. Let's get back to work. All right, so check this out. This is the electric steering box right here. Now, this is powered by Panther. This is electric steering. It's not cable driven, it's not Bluetooth. This thing is powered by electricity. So this plug runs all the way up to the front here. He's gotta be able to control this from the front of the boat. In electric only world, he doesn't have to leave his spot where he fishes up here. He can drive the boat from up here, control the outboard motor, and steer with his front trolling motor. So that plug runs up into this switch right here. And this is basically your left and right. It's how you steer that outboard motor. First time I've ever seen electronic steering. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. Then these 2 modules right here. Now, originally he just had this one, and you can turn on the outboard motor with this, and you can control it as far as your speed with the minus and the plus sign. The issue with just using this box is that you have to keep tapping this button in order to get your speeds up. And if you're running full speed and you want to slow down real quick, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to tap this thing multiple times. By that time, it might be too late. You might have gone too far forward and ran into something. That's where this comes into play. Now, this basically is the bypass power, and this bypass is for your throttle. You can go forward or reverse, just like in a regular outboard. And it's pretty cool. And this gives you the ability to just slam this thing down. You need to go in reverse fast or kick it out of gear and be in neutral. So this is pretty handy. And he added this in because it's just not something that's ideal if you got to push a button 5 times to slow down. So the way this hooks up is pretty simple. This box has 2 wires coming out of it. One of those wires splices directly into this wire right here. And that enables you to use this box for your throttle. This is your power box to turn it on. And then you've got your electric steering left and right. I've got to figure out where I'm going to put all these. I need to run these wires up inside of this compartment on the side because he just had them tucked in on the side up against the side of the boat. And I don't want them to be exposed, but they still have to be accessible in case something happens. He's got to be able to pull them out. I'm going to try to run those up inside of here and fish them back into where the motor compartment is, but it's going to be a little bit tricky. As far as all these pieces up here being sitting out on the deck, I don't really like that. So I'm trying to find a place where I can tuck them in. Maybe we got enough slack, we can push them up underneath this trolling motor, or maybe they're just gonna have to sit up here and have like a little bungee to hold them down. I don't know. I'm going to do some thinking on that and brainstorming because I really want to keep this build as clean as possible. And these things are pretty good size. They're not exactly the prettiest thing either to be sitting out on the deck all the time. These two pieces right here do not have any power cables running to them. They run directly off of the outboard motor with like a microphone cable. It's pretty weird, but that's how all this stuff works. It draws the power from this actual outboard. The outboard will be hooked up to the three 200 amp hours that are going to go in here. And I'm going to make a cool pan for this to get this thing where it's sitting level in here. But they pretty much fill up this entire back area. And this was the only compartment in the boat that was big enough to house three gigantic 200 amp hour batteries. It works out fine because it's right next to our electric motor. Now I did put a faceplate up in this side right here. This has a couple of screws in it. I take this off and that's where my wires are running to. You can see the hose and stuff. We ran the bilge and everything up through there. So they come into there. This box has been hollowed out. On top of this, we're going to put one of his 126 graphs. He wants to have one in the back of the boat and we're also going to have two graphs up in the front. Well, I need to run power back here for this graph. The transducer, pretty simple. It's going to run right off the puck, up around, down inside of here, and it's going to come up through. I'm going to put a hole underneath of where I'm going to be mounting this graph. But the power cable for this needs to run up from the fuse panel. So I got to run one more wire from there back into here. And then I'm going to put this panel in here permanently, drop these three batteries in here. This thing has a lot of wires going into it. It's not one of my favorite parts of doing on these builds is all the electrical, especially not as electric only, because there is tons of stuff that went into this thing. And it's just a little bit outside my wheelhouse. But as soon as I get that stuff finished up, then I can start dropping all these hatches in here, and then we're going to lay the turf in here, and we're going to wrap this project up, guys. This thing is looking sick. Unfortunately, we've hit our 20-minute mark for the video length. I'm going to have to wrap this one up here, guys. This project is turning out awesome. The wrap looks so good on this boat. I mean, it's probably my favorite wrap of all time. And maybe it's just because we wrapped the back of the boat, but the thing looks sick, man. I'm really happy with that. DC Design killed it, and big ups to them. If you guys are local looking for a wrap, they did a good job on this boat. I definitely recommend them. You got a ton of LED lights in this thing. The strip rails are dope, lots of compartment lights. I got all this stuff wrapped up. I am so close to getting ready to put all this turf in here. There is light at the end of the tunnel, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the rest of all of this wiring, get this metal work finished up. And next episode, I'm gonna show you guys the turf and I'm gonna show you how I install that. And we're gonna put this thing out in the water. I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like, subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this build. If you got any questions or ideas, hit me up on trick10sjohnboats.com. You want any merch? Check that out on trick10s.net. I'll see you guys next time. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, I do appreciate y'all sticking around to the end of the video. Two quick things I wanted to run by you guys. I did record a podcast the other day with Fishing the DMV with Tom, and it was super awesome, man. I really enjoyed that. Just having a chance to sit back and relax and have a conversation and talk about a bunch of stuff going on in my life and the fishing world. It was really fun. So look for that dropping on Fishing the DMV YouTube channel and podcast. It also airs on Spotify and iHeartRadio. It was really cool. And I think you guys will really enjoy that. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. And also this upcoming Friday, I'm going to go live with Bass and Beer Radio. They're also another radio station that's local out of Maryland, and it should be fun, man. I'm interested in doing a lot more of these podcasts and just having a break from the grind of building and recording videos to sitting back and talking and sharing knowledge with you guys. So make sure you go check out both of those channels. And this Friday, it's going to be live. So if you guys want to check in, ask a question, I will be happy to answer any questions from anybody that comes in the live video. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see y'all next time. Let's get back to work.